Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. And if it's your first time here, I'm Janetta, an author who loves to draw. On my channel, I focus on combining storytelling with art. If that's something you're interested in, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let's get to it. Blindsided. Brian couldn't believe his luck. 2 days before Christmas, he ran into the girl of his dreams, and now she was going to catch a ride with him to Detroit, where both of their families lived. Not wanting anything to go wrong on the 4.5-hour drive, he decided to rent a car instead of taking his. It had stopped on him 3 times in the last month. While he had been willing to chance it on his own, he didn't want to now that Taylor was riding with him. The day of the trip, he picked up Taylor from her friend's apartment. He called her when he pulled up outside, as she'd instructed him to. She came right out with a huge rolling luggage. "You are planning to come back, right?" Brian joked as he opened his trunk and lifted the heavy luggage into it. "A girl has to be prepared for anything." Taylor smiled and Brian's stomach danced. She was beautiful, with her pretty amber eyes, long braids, clear pecan skin, and full kissable lips. "I guess she does," he said, closing the trunk. 15 minutes later, he pulled into the car rental lot and parked in front. "I'll wait here until they give you the car," Taylor said, throwing him another intoxicating smile. "I want to check in with my family to let them know we will be on the road soon." She held up her phone. "Okay, this shouldn't take long. I arranged everything online, so it should just be a matter of me showing my ID and them telling me where the car is." Brian opened the door and climbed out. He hurried in and got in the short line. He smirked when he noticed one of the personnel eyeing Taylor outside. "She is fine, man, but you won't even get a chance to shoot your shot because we are going to be out of here soon," he thought. The two in front of him were taken care of within minutes, and Brian found himself standing in front of the guy who had been eyeing Taylor through the window. Brian told him his name and gave him his driver's license. "Is that your girlfriend?" Robert, the associate, asked him, handing him back his license. "I'm working on it," Brian told him, taking the license and placing it back in his wallet. He fully expected his reservation to be printed out at that point, and Robert to tell him where the car he was renting was located. "Give me 1 minute," Robert said, and walked away from the counter into a room behind it. He started talking to someone sitting at the desk, and once he noticed Brian watching, he closed the door. "That's odd," Brian said. He turned to look at Taylor. She watched the whole exchange and mouthed the words, "Is everything okay?" Brian put up both his hands to let her know he wasn't sure. He was the only one left waiting, and he was left waiting for 5 minutes before Robert returned. "Is everything okay?" Brian asked. "We really need to get on the road." "There's a small hiccup with your reservation. My manager is taking care of it. If you'd have a seat over there." Robert pointed to the small row of metal chairs in front of the front windows. "We'll get you squared away and out of here soon." "Oh, okay." Robert looked back at Taylor, pulled out his phone, and texted her. "Small hiccup with the reservation. Manager is working on it. We should be leaving soon." She texted him back, "Okay." Brian sat for 10 minutes and watched Robert and his coworker get 3 more people on the road. His patience was fried. He walked back over to Robert and said, "I have waited long enough. You need to honor my reservation and get me on the road now." "Can you give us a few more minutes?" Robert looked a bit nervous. "No, I cannot. Let me speak to your manager." Brian demanded louder than he intended. The office door opened and a small petite woman walked over to him. "Hi, I'm Amanda. I apologize for the holdup. We have upgraded you to a luxury vehicle for your trouble. Robert, go grab the paperwork, and let's get this gentleman on his way." Robert opened his mouth to say something, but Amanda gave him a look that told him to keep quiet. He walked over to the printer and grabbed the paperwork. "You'll find your vehicle in slot 232. The keys are in it." "Finally, thanks," Brian said as he took the papers from Robert. He quickly made his exit and returned to the car. Taylor exited the car as he approached. "Are we good to go?" she asked, looking inside at Robert and Amanda, who were inside in heavy discussion. Yes, we are. We even got upgraded to a luxury vehicle for our troubles. Brian smiled and grunted as he lifted her heavy suitcase from the trunk. He grabbed his weekend bag and slung it crossbody over himself before locking the car. We are looking for slot 232. Sweet, Taylor said when she saw the Audi Q7 sitting in slot 232. Things are looking up, Brian said as he loaded their things in, then climbed in and headed for the exit. I'm going to love this, Taylor said, rubbing the dashboard. Brian handed the exit attendant his paperwork and thought about how great the trip would be. He pulled onto the street, heading towards the highway. 5 minutes into the ride, lights flashed and sirens blared behind them. What did you do? Taylor said in a panic. Do? I didn't do anything, Brian said as he pulled over. When the officer approached his window, he rolled it down. To his surprise, the officer didn't speak to him. He spoke directly to Taylor. Seems your luck's finally run out, Kiki. Step out of the vehicle. Kiki? Brian was confused. Yes, Kiki Bishop. Wanted in 3 states for assault and robbery. Lucky for us, the rental car attendant is a true crime lover and recognized you, the officer's partner who stood on Kiki's side of the vehicle said. The officer watched as she stepped out of the vehicle and then cuffed her. You are one lucky gentleman. Chances are you wouldn't have made it to Detroit. She probably would have stolen this vehicle, and if she didn't, whoever was waiting for you on the other end of your trip would have probably been robbed blind. Brian looked over at Taylor, or Kiki, whoever she was, but she just rolled her eyes. Her suitcase is in the back. Do you need that? Brian asked, feeling like a fool. They took her suitcase and found jewelry, cash, and other valuables that didn't belong to her. You are free to go, Brian was told once they had gathered her things and placed her in the back of the squad car. Brian climbed back into the car feeling blindsided and relieved he had dodged a bullet. Hope you enjoyed today's story. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be and stay blessed.